Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Strong police presence in Spanish Town following the fatal shooting of the leader of the One Order gang. St. Mary Police carry out pre-dawn operations in several communities across the parish. And later in sports, Sunshine Girls defeat South Africa in Game 2 of Netball Series. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry Ann Simpson. Here are the details. The security forces insist that everything is under control in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. This after the fatal shooting of a top leader of the One Order gang, Othniel Thickman Laban, by law enforcement. Tension is high in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, as several roadblocks were mounted as news spread about the killing of Othniel Thickman Laban. The police say the deceased was listed as one of the top 5 most wanted individuals by the National Joint Anti-Gang Task Force Assault on Gang Initiative. However, he remained elusive and directed various violent activities and organized crimes in St. Catherine, Kingston, and several other parishes. According to reports, police on Wednesday night intercepted a vehicle being driven by Thickman, which led to a chase. He's alleged to have opened fire at the police, who responded, and he was fatally shot near 6 miles. Since the incident, the police say his supporters have been attempting to disrupt Spanish Town. It is why the security forces are maintaining a strong presence in the area. They're urging citizens to remain calm and to cooperate with them as they work to maintain peace and stability in the area. While they are on high alert due to an extreme level threat, they are assuring the public that they are taking all necessary measures to ensure their safety. And the police say they've managed to clear all roadblocks and are maintaining a heavy presence in the Tospen, Leslie Penn, and Captureland spaces.
There are a number of cases ranging from murder, shooting, extortion, etc., that he's linked to by way of investigation and intelligence. So, they made an attempt to apprehend him. Unfortunately, not the intended result. So we end up with a fatal shooting, which is being investigated by Indicom.
And head of the Area 5 Police Assistant Commissioner Christopher Phillips says the security forces will not allow disorder to reign in the old capital of Spanish Town. He spoke to our news team on the ground this morning.
Already, we have 4 persons in custody who were a part of blocking the road last night. And so we're going to be sending a strong message. We're appealing to persons to desist from this practice. It is not taking us anywhere. And I'd also like to call on all the other social groups that can have some intervention in these communities to come on board.
In the meantime, President of the St. Catherine Chamber of Commerce, Dennis Robotham, says the tension in Spanish Town has significantly impacted business.
Right now, the business community is totally shuttered in the market district of the town. All businesses closed. Traffic, both vehicular, pedestrian and commuters have circumvented the area based on what is happening there. Apparently, since last night's incident, a lot of roadblocks seem to have been mounted in the particular space, and hence the police have cleared it a number of times, but they have been reblocking it.
Several schools have also dismissed classes early as a result of the incident. Now, Mr. Robotham is also questioning why the police were not more proactive.
It is regrettable that at this stage we continue to see this kind of happening when it comes to this kind of situation. Business have to close. I am being asked from a number of my members, why is it that the situation, which should be very well documented by now, that when something like that last night happened, why wasn't a curfew imposed on the space, so that the damage and the blockage could have been prevented.
And the police are again asking the following persons to report to the nearest police station. Renil Hope, otherwise called Ron, Tashwayne Balford, Javon White, otherwise called Bali, Kevon White, otherwise called Twin, Shamar Doma, otherwise called Boise, a man known as Tanja, and a man known as Prezi. And the police have come under fire for traffic management hours after the incident took place. Traffic came to a crawl as investigators processed the crime scene. We spoke with head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, ACP Gary McKenzie.
The teams from PSTEB and certainly the geographic divisions will be on the streets, and we will ensure that the citizens are safe and are able to travel. No doubt persons will try to cause mayhem, but we will do our very best to ensure that that is not possible. And where it occurs, the response will be swift.
Now, over in St. Mary, the security forces conducted a pre-dawn operation in Orakabessa and other areas, including Marston Town. Commanding officer for the St. Mary Police Division, Acting Superintendent Anthony Wallace, says this is part of efforts to dismantle criminal network and enhance public safety. The operation targeted high-risk offenders, wanted individuals, and illegal activities, including firearm possession, drug trafficking, and other organized crime. Now, residents are being encouraged to cooperate with law enforcement personnel and report any suspicious activities. To other news now, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration is exploring ways to capitalize on the migration of nurses. Janella Precious explains.
On Wednesday, Director of Nursing Services at the St. Anne's Bay Hospital and former President of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, Carmen Johnson, provided a picture of how many nurses are needed to fill the void left by those who've migrated.
So we have approximately 5,800 plus, and what we really need is 11,000 plus. And so our hope is that today, those who are coming from the high school, the colleges and universities, if we can at least impact 200 more minds to say that they want to come into nursing, to come in. And if we can impact those already nursing to come into the other fields of nursing, the specialist areas, that is our hope today.
Speaking at the opening of the Ministry of Health's Career Expo and Job Fair, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says in 2023 alone,
800 nurses left our system.
40% of whom, he adds, were specialists. This acknowledgement.
And that number is not likely to decline because our nurses are not going through the border, as they say. They are going through a formal system. And so, this issue of migration has an impact on our ability to grow.
Mr. Holness further acknowledged that while small developing states are unable to retain nurses because of attractive salaries offered overseas,
we must also expand our training systems here, because the critical thing is not just that the foreign countries want our nurses. The foreign countries want our training. That is really the key. And so the strategy for the human resource improvement is to invest in our training capabilities so that if they want people to get training, they can send people here to be trained so that we create a training industry here in Jamaica as well.
Janella Precious, TVJ News.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister says he's hopeful that some nurses who have migrated will take up posts offered by the Ministry of Health.
We tend to look at this as, this is impossible. This nobody will ever do that. I see the head of the Nurses Association And we have had discussions. And the truth is that there are some persons who would like to come back because it is not all about pay. Conditions of work, quality of life, security of family, and your cultural connections are also important things. So we have to create a system where we can leverage that talent that has been exported to come back to Jamaica and support our local healthcare system.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More local stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Ambassador Professor Dale Weber says he's ready to hit the ground running. This following his appointment as Jamaica's first special envoy for climate change, the environment and matters of the ocean and the blue economy.
I'm going to communicate a lot of what needs to be done. As you would know, my former role was principal of the university. I'm therefore an educator. Education is the foundation of making changes. We're going to make environmental changes in Jamaica, which are going to resonate all the way from early childhood, primary schools, all the way to tertiary, and then we're going to go into the workplaces. We're going to ensure that everyone who lives in and has an interest in Jamaica knows of the environmental positives, the things we should be doing, the things we ought not to be doing, and then we're going to temper how we make the changes.
It's time now for the Business Minute.
Elusive GDP growth, but how can that be fixed? Raymond Small Ferguson is CEO of Barita Investments.
I think what is necessary is a focused agenda on bringing Jamaica forward, all aspects of Jamaica, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's technology, whether it's processes, so on and so forth. To the extent that that focus comes into play and there is the necessary collaboration around that, whether it's between the government and local players, or the government, local players, and international players. Once that capital starts to go to work, the investment returns that will be born out of those projects will translate to growth.
Now, he was addressing concerns as to why Jamaica's economy continues to record single-digit growth in GDP despite significant improvement in the fiscal space. The matter was raised on Wednesday at the Jamaica Stock Exchange's conference. Further afield, a U.S. lawsuit filed on behalf of LinkedIn Premium users accuses the social media platform of sharing their private messages with other companies to train artificial intelligence AI models. It alleges that in August last year, the world's largest professional social networking website quietly introduced a privacy setting, automatically opting users into a program that allowed third parties to use their personal data to train AI. It also accuses the Microsoft-owned company of concealing its actions a month later by changing its privacy policy to say user information could be disclosed for AI training purposes. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Master.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Antigua and Barbuda is set to modernize its immigration process with the launch of a paperless border control system next month. The Telecommunication Ministry says the system, now in its pilot phase, replaces traditional paper cards with a digital solution, allowing travelers to submit their information online at least 24 hours before arrival. It adds that once completed, travelers will receive a QR code for seamless check-ins and faster processing at customs. On the international scene, a new fast-moving wildfire has erupted in Los Angeles County, prompting tens of thousands of people to evacuate a region already reeling from the most destructive fires in its history. The Hughes fire ignited 45 miles northwest of the city of Los Angeles on Wednesday morning near Castaic Lake, in a mountainous area that borders several residential areas and schools. It grew to more than 10,000 acres in several hours on Wednesday, fueled by winds and dry bush. No homes or businesses have been damaged, and officials expressed confidence about getting it under control. And hundreds of same-sex couples are tying the knot across Thailand on Thursday as the country becomes the first in Southeast Asia to recognize marriage equality. The landmark bill marks a momentous win for the LGBTQ+ community, which has sought for more than a decade for the same marriage rights as heterosexual couples. Under the legislation passed by Thailand's parliament and endorsed by the king last year, same-sex couples are able to register their marriages with full legal, financial, and medical rights, as well as adoption and inheritance rights. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Raquel Porto.
Thanks, Raquel. We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.